Good afternoon everyone. Sorry that I got late. I was stuck in too much of traffic, which was some kind of, I don't know what is the problem today. So anyway, yeah. So yesterday we discussed regarding the vegetation. Vegetation में क्या cover किया था हमने? We covered the mangroves, the characteristics of mangroves, the issues associated with the mangroves, and the regions in India where we have a good stretch of mangroves. And after that we saw the important aspects of state of the forest report. I hope all of you have revised that portion at least. So after that we started with the world agricultural typology, right? And we also discussed few of the techniques related to the forest conservation, like agroforestry, social forestry, urban forestry, all those things. Joint forest management. So when it came to the world agricultural typology, we have the agricultural practice with respect to two different conditions. One is related to the tropical condition, another one related to temperate condition. In case of tropical conditions, I told you four different types. One, nomadic herding, where the people are just keeping the cattle or the animals in a very traditional manner, just keep moving from one place to another. Then shifting cultivation. I hope you got the meaning of shifting here. They keep shifting from one part to one patch to another. They burn the forest, that is why we also call it as slash and burn. Then intensive subsistence agriculture, then commercial plantation agriculture. This is the only major commercial type of agriculture which is usually done in tropical regions. In case of temperate regions, we have the Mediterranean, and if you observe one thing, like all the temperate में जो भी agriculture practices, they are all commercial. Okay, they are done in large scale, done in commercial for industrial or human consumption. So that is the type of agriculture which are followed in temperate countries. So Mediterranean तो पता है, we have majorly the citrus fruits, olives, and also the viticulture, winemaking, all those things. Then we have extensive commercial grain farming. So this is in opposite to intensive subsistence. यहाँ पर है extensive, here it is intensive, here it is subsistence, here it is commercial, here it is mainly rice, here it is mainly wheat. And what else? The patch of land per person available is very less here, here it is very high, and the population density is less here, population density is high here, and the per acre output is very low here. Sorry, per acre output here is very high here, per acre output is very low here, and the crops which are grown are mainly indigenous variety. Here it is the high yielding scientifically managed varieties, and the per capita output is very low here and per capita output is very high here. Okay, so that is extensive commercial grain farming. Then commercial livestock ranching, which is opposite to our the first one, nomadic herding. So it is done in a commercial manner in a large scale. So then we have mixed farming, where they keep both the crops, agriculture, as well as the animals, and the crops grown are both for the human consumption as well as for the animal consumption. Then we have dairy farming, production of dairy products, cow and the volume. So please raise your queries, technical queries in the technical platform. I will not be able to see this. Fine, they will be able to convey to me if at all there is any technical issues. Fine, it is dairy farming. It's mainly production of dairy products like milk, cheese, butter, jo bhi, that is dairy. And finally truck farming, market gardening. We have where we mainly grow the fruits and vegetables near to the large urban area. It is also called as factory farming. So any doubts here? So this is all related to the world agriculture typology. So let me know if you have any doubts. So let us come to Indian scenario, that is Indian agriculture. So Tushar is asking, are mangroves located at a place where rivers and oceans meet? That is what we call it as delta, right? The Sundarbans are the largest delta and they are also the largest mangroves, right? In case of Indian agriculture, I have told you I will be covering the main aspects related to the cropping, the conditions of cropping, the regions of cropping, and majorly from the context of geographical perspective. Okay, this one you can cover some of the aspects related to the cropping pattern, the cropping types, which comes in your paper 3. Okay, baki iske alawa, other than this, the market, agriculture market reforms, the pricing mechanism, all those things will be covered in your economics. Okay, it will be covered in your economics. So coming to the Indian agriculture, the first thing we have to see is land use categories. Land use categories. So what are these land use categories? Basically it refers to the different types of categories of land which are put to use, and we have to see these different categories of land from the mainly from the context of agriculture. These are the 8 different types of land use categories. So overall, like if we take the entire land of India, we can classify it into 8 different categories. So what are these 8 different categories of land in India? Okay, you can see we can classify them 4 different categories which are non-agricultural, 4 categories which are agricultural. Fine. What are the 4 different categories which are non-agricultural? इसमें agriculture का कोई direct relationship नहीं है. The first one you can see forest. Forest is the region where we have the forest cover. It is not used for any of these agricultural practices and none of the other practices. We can say it is forest cover. Other than that, we have, for example, this one, permanent pastures and tree crops. So what exactly is this permanent pastures? The pasture land where the usually owned by the community, where they are allowed for grazing of cattle, sheep, all those things. They are community owned. We say permanent pastures and tree crops. Then another one is barren and wasteland. What is barren and wasteland? So basically barren and wasteland is a land which we cannot use it for agriculture as per the present available technology. As per the present available technology, we cannot put it for agricultural use. For example, ये जो हमारा Chambal ravines are there, right? We cannot do much of agricultural over there. Remember, as per the presently available technology, maybe in the future we might be able to develop technology to even grow over there. So that time we will remove that area which we are able to do agriculture and put it in the other categories. But abhi ke liye whatever the land which cannot be cultivated and which is not used in the other three here, we put it as barren and wasteland. Okay, it is not useful for anything else at all. So then we have area under non-agricultural use. This is majorly the region, the land under the settlements. The people use for settlements, buildings, the roads, highways, है ना, railway lines, ये सारा जो urban use के लिए बोलते हैं, और the majorly for the human settlements we would say. So these are the four different categories under overall which is not under agriculture. Okay, first one forest, second one area under non-agricultural use, third one barren and wasteland, fourth one permanent pastures and tree crop. Is that clear? Okay, you can write as it is. मतलब इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ definition नहीं है, except that barren and wasteland, you should know that it is the land which cannot be brought under the cultivation with the presently available technology. So what are the other categories which we say within the agricultural use? The first most important one is net sown area. Net sown area. So in this context there is another term called gross cropped area. Gross cropped area. Can somebody tell us the difference between these two? What is the difference between net sown area and gross cropped area? You might have heard about this. Any guesses? What is the difference? Net sown area and gross cropped area? Okay, Rahul is guessing that gross cropped area is area available for cropping. Net sown area is area where actually cropping is done. Anything else? Any other guesses? Okay, let me tell you. ये थोड़ा सा tricky है. Please listen to me carefully. Suppose, let's assume hypothetically, I have 100 acres of land, agricultural land. Okay, we have few more answers. Let me just see that once. Mausam is saying can be used as agriculture even if not sown in some seasons. Gross. No. Net sown area at least once in any crop season. Gross is sown once or more than Okay, I think you are confused, Meenakshi. Kapil Prakash Kumar, GCA includes trees. No. It's not about the trees. Field not grown for one season, excluding net sown area. Okay, let me just explain. Suppose, hypothetically, let's assume I have 100 acres of land. Okay, of course, nahi hai mere paas. I'm just telling. This is what is the entire area of land. 100 acres hai mere paas. If I am doing agriculture in 50 acres of land, okay, out of 100 acres I am doing 50 acres में agriculture मैं कर रहा हूँ, बाकी सारा I am not using it for agriculture. That means I am sowing here. In once in a year, at least once I am sowing in a year. Okay, in a year at least once I am sowing in this 50 acres of land. तो यहाँ पर तो पूरा साल I am not doing anything. So here my net sown area is equal to 50 acres. Net sown area साल में at least एक बार करता हूँ. I may do it multiple times. I may do it once in Kharif season, another one in Rabi season, एक बार Zaid भी लगा दो. So multiple times I might be able to do. But overall I am doing agriculture in this 50 acres. So my net sown area is 50 acres. So if at all I am sowing only once in a year, my gross cropped area is also 50 acres. Okay, I have only, मेरे पास बहुत सारा पानी है. Okay, I have a good connectivity with the river, जो canal system बहुत सारा अच्छा सा है. I have a good supply of water, so I do rice cultivation here and I sow it only during the monsoon. Okay, तो पूरा एक बार rice लगा के I'll remove it. I'll do it in the next 1 year. If at all I'm sowing only once in a year, my gross cropped area is 50 acres. If at all I do, and my land is located in the lower parts of Tamil Nadu, delta में बहुत अच्छा सा पानी है, and I get a very good water supply all through the year, which enables me to grow 3 crops of rice over there. Okay, so यहीं पे in the same patch of lands 50 acres में I am doing 3 crops per year, 3 times I am sowing. In that case my gross cropped area is 150 acres. Now you understood the difference between net sown area and gross cropped area. So net sown area is the actual area in which I am doing the agriculture, actual area in which I am sowing. Gross cropped area accounts for multiple sowing. If I do 2 times the sowing, it will be 100 acres. If I am doing 3 times sowing, it is 150. 4 times 200, 5 times 250. उतना तो नहीं हो पाएगा, but you get the idea, right? So why this is important? Why do we have to measure this net sown area? Net sown area gives an idea in how much of area in India agriculture is being done. Gross cropped area talks about the intensity of agricultural production. Okay, the intensity, in how many times we are doing the sowing, in how many times we are able to reap it. If at all net sown area is equal to gross cropped area, matlab we are not using it properly. In a year, in many of the places wherever there is a good availability of water and good conditions are prevailing, we can do multiple croppings, that is required. Okay, then only we will be able to provide food for our nation. We cannot increase the net sown area too much. ज़्यादा increase नहीं होता है. Can you see between 1960 and 2008 there is only 1% increase in the net sown area. But how are we able to increase the production? By increasing the gross cropped area. Is that clear? Okay, you can write the definition. Net sown area, it is the area which is under the cultivation. Net sown area is the area which is under the cultivation. Gross cropped area is the total area under cultivation, where the area which is sown multiple times, which is sown, SOWN, sown multiple times is accounted for multiple times. Is that clear? So that is net sown area and gross cropped area. We don't consider gross cropped area during seeing the land use category. We will see net sown area only. So then next one, the second one here, current fallow. Current fallow मतलब क्या है? यहाँ पर जो मैंने बताया था ना, the rest 50 acres I am not sowing at all in this year. Last year मैंने sowing किया था, but not in this year. So my current fallow is 50 acres. So current fallow is basically the fallow land. Fallow means not cultivated. Fallow land which is not sown in the current year. It is not cultivated for last 1 year. Fallow other than current fallow. Fallow other than current fallow is basically 1 year से ज्यादा कल्टिवेट नहीं किया एंड उसको छोड़ दिया मैंने, है ना. मेरे मान लो मेरे पास बहुत पैसा है एंड आई डोंट वांट टू डू एग्रीकल्चर, आई जस्ट वांट टू सिट एट होम एंड ईट. फाइन, मैंने छोड़ दिया एग्रीकल्चर. लास्ट 5 years से कुछ एग्रीकल्चर नहीं किया. दैट मीन्स बिटवीन 5 to 1 years if at all I have not done any agriculture, that land I will say fallow other than current fallow. If at all I have not done agriculture in the last 1 year, it is current fallow. Between 1 to 5 years, fallow other than current fallow. More than 5 years, it is culturable wasteland. मतलब 5 साल से ज्यादा छोड़ दो, it becomes a wasteland, but it is still culturable. That means we can still do agriculture, but not done in the last 5 years at all. So these are the terminologies. Few of the things which you have to observe here. Okay, this is the latest thing which is given in NCERT, इसलिए मैंने इसको लेके आया हूँ. I try to find more latest data, तो ज़्यादा available नहीं है इसके ऊपर. So you don't have to remember the exact numbers, but you have to remember the trend. Okay, please don't worry about remembering exact numbers, but at least remember the trend. Okay, tell me the order, which is the largest one. इसके ऊपर question आ सकता है. They might ask you, they might give you multiple different types of land use categories, and they might ask you to arrange in decreasing or increasing order. Okay, सबसे ज़्यादा कौन सा है? Overall, you can see net sown area. ये तो होना चाहिए because we have a huge population which is dependent on agriculture, and our agriculture productivity is very very less. We cannot produce more using less land. Fine. So nearly 45-46% is net sown area. So after that, second one is forest area. Now it is around 24.5%. We know that. So then third one you can see barren. So no. ये छोड़ो. हाँ. Area under non-agricultural use. Okay, see the latest one. Area under non-agricultural use nearly 9 to 10% you can say. Okay, जो भी settlement के लिए transportation roads, infrastructure के लिए use करते हैं, that is third one. And the fourth one is barren and wasteland. Okay, at least remember the top 4. Okay, this is one thing. The second thing, please see which of these have seen increase and which of these have seen decrease in the last 50 years. 50 years में कौन सा increase हुआ है? Net sown area has increased because थोड़ा सा तो we should have increased the area available for agriculture in order to increase the productivity. Net sown area has increased. Forest area has increased due to the efforts of afforestation. Forest area has increased. Area under non-agriculture use has increased because of urbanization, development. Current fallow has also increased. Current fallow. That's mainly because of agricultural distress. You know, various issues in the agriculture, many people are leaving agriculture, they are not doing agriculture and they are migrating towards the urban areas in search of other jobs because of the issues in terms of various cropping issues ho gaya, crop failure ho gaya, in terms of the credit availability. For various reasons, current fallow has increased because people are not getting much returns out of this. So, baki sara you can see they have decreased. Barren and wasteland has decreased. Why? Because over the period of time we have developed the technology to even do agriculture in the barren land. Okay, that's why it has decreased more than 50%. 12% था, अभी 6% हो गया. अभी मतलब latest 2008 का data. Barren land has decreased. Permanent pastures and tree crops have also decreased because ऐसे पहले जो the grazing का concept था ना, वो तो बहुत कम हो गया. The cattle is usually kept in nowadays along with the agriculture only as a support mechanism. तो permanent pasture को भी क्योंकि many of the times they are occupied, illegally converted, ये सारा reasons है यहाँ पर. Cultivable wasteland has also decreased because usually a farmer would like to leave the land for uncultivated for maybe for 1 year. Okay, एक साल के लिए छोड़ सकते हैं क्योंकि ये सोच के 1-2 साल के बाद में करता हूँ maximum. If at all he wants to leave it for more than 1 year, he would usually lease it out. If he is not doing, somebody else will do it. Fine. That's why cultivable wasteland and fallow other than cultivable current fallow has decreased क्योंकि other people would start to cultivate the same land, whereas the current fallow have increased. Is that clear? The ratio between gross cropped area by net sown area indicates the cropping intensity. Cropping intensity. Okay, just a term, please try to remember. Over the period of time, our cropping intensity has increased. Any doubts here? Is that clear? ठीक है. Second, let's talk about green revolution. Okay, again I am going to talk in briefly about this. I hope, is it covered? Please confirm once. Is it covered in your economics, green revolution? If it is covered, I don't have to do it again. ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है. ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन चलो करते हैं. So have you guys seen this 5 rupee note? उसके ऊपर जो पिक्चर है, any of you have observed this? है ना, अभी तो थोड़ा आफ्टर डिमोनेटाइजेशन जो भी नोट वगैरह आए हैं ना, they have become not very attractive. इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ अट्रैक्टिव नहीं है. पहले वाला तो बहुत कलरफुल था, बहुत डिफरेंट था. So there are many things, like if at all you might have observed this, and of course remember this can be a very good question for UPSC also. So they might not ask कौन सा नोट के ऊपर कौन सा पिक्चर है, but they might ask So for example, एक I think कोई पुराना नोट में सांची स्तूपा का भी पिक्चर था. So like that. So there are many good things which you can observe. Like you can also see they might ask what are the security features released in the new note. वो सारे चीज. So this was in order to represent this green revolution, in order to promote the green revolution, they had released this. And green revolution के बारे में तो आप सुना ही होगा. What is green revolution? Revolution in agriculture, right? That is why it is called as green revolution. So when India got independence 1950s mein, at that point of time we had a very good population, we were a very populous country, but we were not very self dependent, we were not self sufficient in terms of agricultural production. Our agriculture production was very low क्योंकि overall agriculture sector तो बहुत खराब हो गया था. We know the policy of British who did not try to do anything to uplift the food production. So after immediately within like 5-6 years में भी हमें पता चल गया था like it is going to create a huge agricultural crisis because population was increasing rapidly. 1945-50s तो like it has started to increase very rapidly population. So at that point of time we were not having enough food to feed our people. India में था ही नहीं. Right now we are self sufficient, but we were not having enough food at all. Leave about all the other supplements, वो सारा अभी आ रहा है. Like we want nutritional food. पहले तो food ही नहीं था. There was no food at all. So we were dependent on USA and many other countries. Like the way the presently African countries, sub-Saharan countries, they are dependent on the developed countries for the food supplies, in that way, very dependent like that. So, कब तक even the entire Nehru period, okay, even during the third 5-year plan also, after Nehru, Lal Bahadur Shastri, after Lal Bahadur Shastri, even Indira Gandhi period also, we were majorly dependent on food grains for USA, from USA. When Indira Gandhi became the Prime Minister, so she visited USA for the first time. Okay, for the first time she is visiting USA after becoming Prime Minister. So the USA I think New York Times or some other newspaper, okay, the headline. So because the main agenda of meeting to discuss with USA was to increase the supply of food grains because population was increasing drastically, तो हमें और चाहिए था. So that was one of the major agenda of our newly elected Prime Minister. So at that point of time when she went, the newspaper gave the headline, the new Prime Minister of India comes with a begging bowl. Okay, so this was the actual headline which was given. On seeing that headline, she became very furious. So meeting to khatam kar diya and she came back to India and she called the officials of our Agricultural Research Institute, जो अभी यहाँ पर है ना, if at all any of you are staying in Delhi, you might know. कि जो यहाँ पर the current right now the class is happening, we are staying in a Pusa Road. You know Pusa Road? Pusa, it's basically the agricultural campus. Original Pusa तो बिहार में है. So this area is called as Pusa. Okay, that Indian Agriculture Research Institute is located very nearby. Very beautiful location in India, in Delhi. So that time MS Swaminathan was leading all the research over there, and she called him personally, MS Swaminathan, and she said, we will provide whatever resources you require. You take any resource you require, any human resource, any support, we should become self-sufficient in agriculture. Okay, this is what she said. So at the same time in Mexico, a person had done revolution in agricultural production. That was Norman Borlaug. Okay, you might have heard about him, Norman Borlaug. So MS Swaminathan went to Mexico to study what exactly they are doing, how they were able to do the agricultural revolution, they were able to increase the production in a very short period of time. So he discussed the things with him. While coming back, he brought with him Norman Borlaug. Norman Borlaug came back with MS Swaminathan. and they led a research in the same Pusa, जो यहाँ पर Pusa campus है ना, यहीं पे green revolution start हुआ था. This is the same place where it all happened. And they did the scientific research, यहाँ का condition के लिए कैसे कर सकते, everything thoroughly they did, and they started this program called Green Revolution. Fine. In that they use various methods, various methodologies, जो भी requirement चाहिए था, and it became very successful. Within like 15 years we were self-sufficient. Within 15 years we were self-sufficient in food grains. Okay, our food grain production, the production of wheat and rice, increased 3 to 4 times within a short period of time. We were no more dependent on any kind of foreign supply. So that is a huge success post independence में जो one of the major things which we have achieved is green revolution. Okay, अभी भी बहुत लोग बात करते हैं ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन खराब है, इसका बहुत साइड इफेक्ट्स है, ये सब लोग मानते हैं, बट नाउ people are talking about it now, not then. So that time there was no food for people to eat. People were dying out of hunger. So India में कोई भी अभी like there is no situation that people are dying out of hunger. If at all people are dying, it's out of malnutrition or overnutrition in some cases. Fine. So that is one of the very great achievements. But the thing is the issue was we did not change as per the time. तब वो चाहिए था. The green revolution, the methods which they used, that was required at that point of time because our target was something different. But over the period of time we should have improved. Even M.S. Swaminathan himself has proposed evergreen revolution which is more sustainable in nature, right? We बोलते हैं green revolution का जो भी methods है वो sustainable नहीं था, but at least that was required at that point of time, right? So we should have changed that. That did not happen. That is another issue. We'll talk about that. Now, what are the inputs used in green revolution? So what did they do? What did they do? Any kind of magic that suddenly ऐसे increase हो गया? So what are the inputs which were used in green revolution which made green revolution possible? One of the most important input was HYV seeds. HYV seeds. What is HYV? That means high yielding variety seeds. High yielding variety seeds. So before that, whatever the variety of seeds which were used indigenously they were not high yielding variety. मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा production नहीं था. So through green revolution they brought the concept of high yielding variety seeds. Okay, both in rice as well as wheat. They introduced very new varieties. What are their advantages? The first thing is they grow with a very short period of time. बहुत जल्दी they get mature. Okay, that is very fast growth, and they are short bushes. Unlike the indigenous variety which are big bushes, these are the short bushes and they grow with a very short period of time. Even with a very short bush they can give a high production, and output is high. That means the same level, the same height, the same maturity indigenous variety will give lesser production of food grains, which will give out lesser food grains than the high yielding variety seeds. They give more production and they grow very densely. They grow very densely, short bushes, they grow within a very short period of time. With that they are able to give a very high yielding variety. Okay, high yields aata hai. So these are the advantages of high yielding variety seeds. They introduce this in both rice and wheat. But ऐसा नहीं है कि if we bring this high yielding variety seeds, it suddenly it will give the production. You need to give something more. The most important one is irrigation. Why? जितना ज्यादा yielding capacity है उतना ज्यादा पानी पीता है. It will consume more amount of water than the normal variety, है ना? They require a good irrigation facility. Then a regular supply of chemical fertilizers. Yes, this is required. Chemical fertilizers क्यों? These are high yielding variety. They pick up the nutrients from the soil in a very fast manner. For the next, before you do the next, you have to put the fertilizers so that the soil fertility increases. Otherwise, gradually soil fertility decrease हो जाएगा. इसका production भी decrease हो जाएगा. Regularly, you have to use chemical fertilizers here, along with pesticides, क्योंकि they are very less resistant to the pests. You have to use chemical pesticides along with this. To buy this irrigation के लिए pump set चाहिए, electricity चाहिए, chemical fertilizer, pesticides, high yielding variety seeds के लिए you need a good capital. Good money is also involved, but at the same time there is also high returns. In addition to this, ये सारा है तो काफी नहीं है, you need government support also. Why? Because suddenly there is an increase in production, there is some kind of guarantee from the government that they will buy. Right? That is where the government loans came into picture. The idea of MSP came into picture, minimum support price. Government announced that you produce, if at all market में कोई नहीं है तो I will buy at this particular rate. That is what is minimum support price. So all these things came into picture. So through all these inputs, they were able to increase the production in a very drastic manner. So that is what we call it as green revolution. The inputs are important. Please remember, इसके ऊपर question आ सकता है. High yielding variety seeds which are short growing within a short period of time, short bushes with higher production and growing in a very dense manner. It requires a very high irrigation, water supply, chemical fertilizers and pesticides are also required. For that you need capital as well as government support. This green revolution was done in a very phased manner. Okay, पहले उनको पता होना था, like they want to be sure before we can introduce all over India. The first phase they mainly did it on an experimental manner. Between 1962 to 1968, because experiments were already going on even before Indira Gandhi came into power and all. So experiments तो चल ही रहा था. That was accentuated after all that incident happened. This is what we call it as the premature stage. Premature stage between 1962 to 1968. So in this they started a program called Integrated Agricultural Development Program. Integrated Agricultural Development Program. There they targeted 8 districts of Punjab and Haryana. Why Punjab and Haryana? They had a very fertile land, है ना, doabs. They had a very good supply of irrigation and most of them were well off. थोड़ा सा अच्छा खासा पैसा भी था and they were very easily supported by the government. Political support भी था. So इसलिए they had all the advantages, so they targeted a total. Oh. Sorry. So कब से नहीं है ऑडियो? Can you please confirm? ठीक है चलो, I'll start from IADP. पहले से बता देता हूँ, देख लो. So what I was telling, so green revolution was done in 3 phases. उसके पहले वाला तो inputs हो गया ना, so I covered the inputs, is that right? The inputs required. अभी चल रहे हैं, ठीक है. So green revolution happened in 3 different phases. The first phase between 1962 to 1968. This is the first phase, है ना. Of course, even before Indira Gandhi came into power. So this was there, and the research was going on. That was accentuated after she came into power. And in the initial phase, they targeted the 8 districts of Punjab and Haryana. 8 districts of Punjab and Haryana. Right? Because they just wanted to see whether this is going to be successful in India. Because the program was successful in Mexico, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि यहाँ पर भी ऐसे होगा. Okay, but of course our scientists and the brilliant minds of Indian Agriculture Research Institute, they were able to adapt it to Indian conditions. So in the first phase, that is between 1962 to 1968, which we call it as the premature phase, they started a program called Intensive Agricultural Development Program. Integrated Agriculture Development Program. Okay, in 8 selected districts of Punjab and Haryana. In this, they were able to get the maximum benefits out of this, and they saw production levels increasing more than double, है ना. जितना पहले production हो रहा था उससे बहुत ज़्यादा production आने लगा. They were all very happy. They thought ठीक है, this is the time to expand into the other parts of the states. Okay, that is when they started the second phase between 1968 to 1981, which we call it as the mature phase. They targeted the entire districts of Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. Okay, the entire region of Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. Why? Again, the same reason. The जो भी conditions चाहिए था, it was all available over there. Good soil availability. We have the entire ये जो Indus River का जो system है, very fertile land, as well as this side Ganga and Yamuna का Doab region है, very fertile land. They have good money, good government support, political backing. So using all these facilities which are available there, so they were able to produce, they were able to implement this method of green revolution here. And they mainly targeted wheat crop here, because they were majorly wheat growing regions. In the beginning of this phase, the total food production was 66 million tons. By the end of this phase, they were able to achieve 150 million tons. Okay, that is India's total food production by the end of the second phase itself. So that is when India was totally self-sustained in agriculture. Okay, in the second phase itself, we were totally self-sustained in terms of food grains. We were no longer required anyone's assistance, anyone's support for that matter. So then we came to the third phase, which was between 1981 to 1992. That is when we targeted rice. Okay, rice production, because यहाँ पर तो wheat था, बाद में यहाँ पर भी rice आया है. Okay, we started to do more research on rice. Rice के लिए कैसे conditions चाहिए, what are the inputs required, वो सारा चीजें हुआ. So then we targeted rice here. तो along with Punjab and Haryana, because Punjab and Haryana में तो अभी दोनों होता है, like we have rice growing season in summers and wheat growing season in the winters. Fine. Along with that, we also targeted West Bengal, which is one of the major producer of rice in India, as well as Andhra Pradesh. जो भी major rice producing states था, so they were targeted and we were able to achieve increase in production in rice also in this. But here you can see that wheat production had more than tripled, but यहाँ पर it was 2 times. इतना ज़्यादा नहीं हुआ था, but still we were able to achieve double the production in case of rice here. That is the third phase. Is that clear? Now, so green revolution तो हो गया. What are the implications of green revolution? Of course, we have positive as well as negative implication. Positive implication तो पता है, we were self sufficient in food grains, the region prospered, है ना? It changed the entire political system also. See, green revolution gave power to many of the farmer communities. The farmer communities of Punjab, Haryana, UP, as well as Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, जहाँ पर where they become very very powerful. Not only green revolution, even before the abolition of zamindari system and all. तो उसकी वजह से जो the people who are actually the farmers, they started to become more powerful and even they started to dominate the politics. अभी कौन कौन है, like major in terms of the groups, the major political parties, they all had the backing of the farmer supports, whether it is Janata Dal or it is Samajwadi Party. You know, most of them have the backing of farmer groups, the farmer families, the farmer communities. So they came into the politics. There are many other implications, the positive things. And जो पंजाब का जो prosperity है ना, that is mainly we can attribute to the green revolution. We all know that. Negatives are important here. What are the negatives of green revolution? Let's see. Let's hear it from you. What do you think are the negatives of green revolution? Overuse of fertilizer, decrease in soil fertility, degradation of groundwater, leaching ठीक है. Chemical fertilizers, desertification of Punjab, intrusion of chemicals in food chain good, excessive reckless use, consumption, demand for agriculture credit increased, over irrigation of water, ठीक है, आप लोगों को बहुत पता है. Unemployment, regional disparity good. Pollutes the city of Delhi, yes. Soil salinization, cancer cases good. That's a good point here. Land degradation due to faulty practice, unsustainable use focused only on wheat and rice. Interpersonal inequalities, okay. Overuse of water, land degradation, chemical use in food. Income disparities, focus only on rice and wheat, air pollution. almost everything is covered, so I just have to compile whatever you have said. We can categorize all the issues under 3 headings. Of course, the most important one should be environmental issues. Green revolution resulted in a huge environmental issues, the ecological issues. So what are the ecological issues? The first important one, the use of high yielding variety seeds neglected a large number of other indigenous varieties. तो इससे क्या मतलब है, like indigenous varieties से ज़्यादा production नहीं था, तो उसको neglect करने में क्या, like what is wrong in that? See, the thing is, the production level might be lesser, but they are more drought resistant because they are locally available. They are more suitable for the local conditions. And you don't need to provide much of water, chemicals, all those things for them. Right? So that is the first thing. It decreased the biodiversity. Best example ले लो, cotton में, cotton is of course it's not related to agriculture, but cotton में after the introduction of BT cotton, you know, BT cotton आने के बाद 90% of the indigenous varieties are gone. So overall 90% cotton इंडिया में BT cotton ही है. मान लो कभी आगे कोई एक disease आ गया which infects only BT cotton, पूरा देश का cotton चला गया, right? So that is bad. We need a diversity, we need a multiple variety that is more stable. Which ecosystem is more stable? Where there is higher diversity. We cannot have a very few diversity, which is not stable. Other than that, the use of chemical fertilizers degraded the soil. Soil degradation due to chemical fertilizers. Soil salinization due to faulty irrigation practice. ये तो हमने डिस्कस किया है. Soil salinization. And the number of pests and diseases has increased over the period of time. Pests and diseases have increased over the period of time because high yielding variety seeds are very, very less resistant to these. Then, okay, let me just I thought of doing a copy paste here, but नहीं हो रहा है. चलो यहीं पे लिखते हैं. Pests increased, water logging increased in Punjab and Haryana because of soil salinization. Okay, water logging increased, उसके वजह से बहुत सारा other issues came up, and the use of chemicals in the soil which enter the food chain started to result in a various other health issues including cancer. Okay, Punjab is said to be one of the very hotbed of cancer here in India, right? That is attributed to the chemical fertilizers. Then the most important one is the neglect of, okay, इसको हम economy में use करते हैं. चलो, use of chemicals led to various health issues. This has also led to the depletion of groundwater. Groundwater depletion भी हुआ है to a very great extent, you know, because many of the times they started to use borewell. They were not happy with the canal irrigation. They wanted more water, more regular supply. Borewell use किया. Increase in deforestation. Yes, more land brought into cultivation. Yesterday we saw the entire area of UP, Bihar, Punjab, Haryana पूरा साफ हो गया. That's mainly attributed to the green revolution. Okay, these are all environmental issues. So let's talk about ecological issues, sorry, economical issues. First one, the neglect of dryland agriculture. Neglect of dryland agriculture. See, we saw that during the Green Revolution, we targeted mainly Punjab, Haryana, UP, these regions, and West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh to some extent. So, but what about the major portions of India? Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, where there is a very bit lesser precipitation, jahan par less than 70 centimeters of precipitation is there. So that is what we call it as dryland agriculture. That requires a very different method of agriculture. Fine. So that dryland agriculture was totally neglected. We gave too much of importance to wheat and rice. Neglect of other crops. Millets, pulses, oil seeds, which are very much required along with the wheat and rice, they are totally neglected. Even now many of these are imported. We are not self-sufficiency in many of these. And most importantly, in terms of economical factor, it increased the inequality. Inequality between the different regions. Okay, that is between the northern states and the southern states, northern states and the eastern states, which did not benefit, because I told you यहाँ पर बहुत सारा अच्छा खासा success हो गया. They got a good money, they got a good returns, they became more powerful, they got a political influence also, but not in the other states, other regions where the Green Revolution was not very success. There was a disparity, inequality within the region itself, intra-regional disparity. For example, within Punjab, only those people who had money, who had all these inputs, they were benefited. Okay, not the one who had lesser money, a marginal farmer, they were not at all benefited. Right, that is intra-region and inter-regional disparity which increased. We also have social issues. What are the various social issues associated with Green Revolution? It increased migration. People started to migrate towards the prosperous regions from less developed regions. Migration increased. तो migration जब increase होता है, ये सारा जो यूपी बिहार people they start to come to Punjab region in terms of better agricultural region, तो वहाँ पर there is more social tensions would arise. You know, of course where the people are more welcoming, जहाँ पर the people are more like hospitable, तो वहाँ पर ज़्यादा issues नहीं रहता है. But wherever the new people are coming and if at all there is any issue created, tensions created, so that discourages such kind of migrations, फिर tensions, फिर clashes. So all that social issues have increased. Landless laborers have increased. क्योंकि who benefited from the Green Revolution? It is the big farmers, not the small farmers. Because small farmers, इनके पास पैसा नहीं है, इनके पास inputs के लिए पैसा नहीं है, they don't have big agricultural land, large agricultural land जिसके पास नहीं है, they could not have benefited this, so they could not do much of agriculture, they had to sell off their land, they had to work in the others field, that led to increase in the landless laborers. So that is a kind of disparity, the inequality within the farmer community. Those who had the money, they were able to benefit. Other than this, you can also say the drug issue of Punjab. How is it related to Green Revolution? They got money but not education. The youth of Punjab, they got money, they got good money. बहुत अच्छा खासा पैसा मिल गया but not the education. They did not target the education. When they got money, they start to invest in more in agriculture, more in industry. Industry wise भी develop हुआ, agriculture wise भी develop हुआ है. Transportation, very good highway, railway network, but not education. Education facilities, they were not very well. मतलब of course Canada जाते हैं, Australia जाते हैं, वो अलग बात है. But they go there not to study. They just want the Western life. Just a personal opinion, okay, based on my observation. Of course, there would be many people who genuinely go there to study. And you can also write increase in security issues. Security issue कैसे? Khalistan movement got strengthened. है ना, ये जो भी इंदिरा गांधी assassination, ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार, सब है, रिलेटेड है. So other than this, अभी जो what is the way forward? The way forward is sustainable agriculture. Okay, sustainable agriculture, evergreen revolution, where we target all other crops, all other regions, and do the agriculture in a sustainable manner. The idea was to achieve the self-sustenance. We achieved that. Now to achieve the better food habits, regional balance, nutritional food, uske liye we need another revolution. That is what is evergreen revolution, right? Where we target all other crops grown in a sustainable manner without much of chemical inputs, using whatever the water available in that particular region. So that is the way forward. Any doubts here? Security issues. The security issues, basically we can relate this, the movement of Khalistan, to the Green Revolution. Green Revolution में कैसे? The people became suddenly prosperous. You know, they were suddenly prosperous. That in a sense increased the regional disparity. They were more powerful in terms of political, in terms of money, है ना? So few of the section they started to think, like, क्योंकि the idea was very weak, बहुत पहले से ही था the idea of Khalistan, so that gave more strength after the Green Revolution, because they started to feel more powerful, right? They had the backing, political backing, as well as the money backing. तो जो भी separatist लोग थे, they got the support because of this. Okay, it had the roots. I am not saying it is because of the Green Revolution the Khalistan movement started, but they got the support because of Green Revolution. They became very powerful. Fine, you can just give another angle. It is just one of the angles of the negative implications of Green Revolution. Any other queries? Now, the next thing is agricultural seasons, the cropping seasons of India. Okay, what all did we discuss in agriculture? The first thing is world agricultural typology. Second one, the land use categories. Third one, green revolution. Now the fourth topic, cropping season. What is cropping season? Basically cropping season refers to the different seasons in India where particular groups of crops are sown. Okay, suppose we have three major cropping seasons. One is Kharif season, another Rabi season, third Zaid season. जो भी Kharif season में होगा, they will have a common sowing season. They are sown during one particular period and they are harvested during another particular period, and they have all the crops belonging to this particular group. So that is what we call it as the cropping season. Okay, we have Kharif season, Rabi season and Zaid season. Fine. All the Kharif, they are sown in the beginning of June. They are harvested at the end of October, September, October mein they are harvested. Rabi, they are sown in the beginning of October, November, and they are harvested by March, April. That is what is Rabi. Now somebody can tell me the meaning of Kharif. What do you mean by Kharif? And what do you mean by Rabi? Any guesses? Okay, this is an interesting thing. What do you mean by the word Kharif and the word Rabi? Okay, Kharif is Urdu word. What do you mean by Kharif? As I remember, एक बार मैं the same question was asked in KBC also once. Kharif का मतलब क्या है? No, none of you. Any idea? Any guesses? Okay. Vedant is saying rain. Kharif means autumn, Rabi is spring. These are Arabic. Okay, Devyansh is saying so. I hope you are saying and you are not seeing from the internet and saying this. Kharif means spring, Rabi means autumn. Are you sure? ठीक है. So he is right. So basically Kharif means autumn, Rabi means spring, but you should be surprised. इसका sowing तो जून में हो रहा है. How is it related to autumn here? It is related to the autumn because autumn में इसका harvest होता है. Okay, हमारे लिए क्या है? Like what is our concern? Our concern is not the sowing. Our concern is about the harvest. हमें कब मिलेगा? When it will come to our hand. That is what is our concern, right? So it comes to our hand in autumn. Autumn ने harvest करते हैं. That is why it is called as Kharif. Kharif means autumn, whereas Rabi means spring. When the autumn begins, we harvest this. When Rabi begins, we harvest that. That is why it is called as autumn crops. This is spring crops. That is Kharif crops, Rabi crops. Then what is Zaid? Zaid is basically intermediate. So in between Kharif and Rabi, sometimes we will have a short period of time, and we don't want to leave it without doing much agriculture. So that time we will try to do some short growing crops. We will try to grow short growing crops. So that is what is Zaid. If it is coming between the Kharif and Rabi, we call it as Zaid Kharif. If it comes between Rabi and Kharif, we call it as Zaid Rabi. Okay, Zaid Kharif means after Kharif. Okay, you can remember like this. Zaid Kharif means after Kharif. Zaid Rabi means after Rabi. So basically they are intermediate crops. Both short growing होना चाहिए, fast growing, and intermediate. So let's try to remember these Kharif and Rabi crops. They are important. इसके ऊपर question आ सकता है. Please remember at least the major ones. What are the Kharif crops? Rice, cotton, jute, sugarcane, maize, pulses, fine, and we have the millets. So what is the common characteristics of these Kharif crops? Most of them require water during the sowing season. जब sow करते हैं ना तब पानी चाहिए for the seeds to germinate. So that is why they actually wait for the monsoon to begin. Why do they broadcast in news and radios monsoon आने वाला है, ready हो जाओ, अभी आएगा, एक हफ्ते में आएगा, 2 दिन में आएगा. Why the farmers would wait? If at all they do the sowing and the rains are delayed, seeds are gone. Okay, seeds will not germinate or seeds will be eaten by the birds, rodents, जो भी होगा. So करने के बाद immediately they require rain. So they wait for the rain. That is important. All these crops require rain during the sowing season. Okay, remember rice, maize, sugarcane, cotton, jute, pulses and the millets. Millets में आते हैं जोवार, बाजरा, रागी. What are the Rabi crops? Rabi is basically those crops which requires lower temperature. You can grow them in winter. Okay, winter में they come very well. During the sowing season you require lower temperature, but during the harvest थोड़ा सा high temperature चाहिए. That is why spring harvest. So what are the most important one? Wheat. Wheat is the most important Rabi crop which requires lower temperatures. Then mustard. Wheat and mustard तो यहाँ पर बहुत famous है ना, particularly winters में. When do you see mustard? जो बॉलीवुड में गाना आता है ना, our Shahrukh Khan along with Kajol, they will be running in mustard field. Yellow का जो flower होता है ना, that is what is mustard. तो कब होगा? Usually if at all you had noticed, they would be wearing sweaters. Winter होना चाहिए, right? So that is a winter crop. Wheat as well as mustard. Then you can say barley in some regions, gram, majorly ये याद रखो. Okay, these are Rabi. What about Zaid? Maize is also Zaid, but remember maize, 90% of maize in India is Kharif. Okay, in some regions 10% it is Zaid also. And most importantly it is vegetables and fruits. Vegetables and fruits because they are short growing. When do we have a good supply of vegetables? Just before the summers, right? And during just before the winters. That is what is Zaid. But the thing is, ये जो seasonal difference है, the difference between the Kharif, Rabi and Zaid, because they are dependent very much on the temperatures. For Rabi, you need lower temperature, winters होना चाहिए. This is existing majorly in the northern plains, not in the southern states. You come to Tamil Nadu, all the 3 seasons they grow rice because the temperature is high. You won't have winter. That's why wheat is not grown in any of the southern parts. Below Madhya Pradesh, no wheat. The temperatures will not be too cold. Fine. Rabi crops, you need lower temperatures which usually not available in the southern states. Even the winter to thoda bahut hoga, but it is very short period of time. You want a long winter period which is available only in the northern plains. That's why wheat and mustard both are in the northern plains. Punjab, Haryana ही है majorly. So southern parts में this seasonal difference between the different crops is very minimal and they do not exist to a great extent here. So majorly they grow Kharif crops only. Fine. That is cropping seasons. Please try to remember these, they are very important. Let's take a short break, and after the break I will be continuing with the cropping areas and the cropping pattern dono. Okay, basically I am going to talk about the various conditions required for the different crops, which is a very important thing. So थोड़ा सा अच्छे से break लेके आ जाओ. You should be able to listen very carefully in the next topic. Fine, let's take a short break. So let's talk about the major crops, the cropping conditions and the cropping regions. The topic is major crops of India. See, what are the things which we have to see? Suppose take any particular crop. Let's say for example rice. The first thing you have to see, the conditions in which they grow. Conditions in which they grow, that includes temperature क्या है, what is the amount of rainfall required, and the soil conditions. Three things which you have to remember for all the crops. For all the crops, what is the temperature, what is the rainfall, what is soil. ये तो जरूरी है सबको. Even in general studies you have to remember. Don't think optional का है, नहीं. The question directly asks, okay, whether it is grown in the summers or winters, or high temperature, low temperature, moderate temperature, high precipitation, low precipitation. Okay, basically they might give different statements about a crop and they might ask you to identify which of them are true, or they might give the different conditions and ask you to identify the crop itself. They might give multiple crops. Okay, कोई एक crop को ले लो ऐसे. They might also ask the soil condition. This one thing. Second thing is, what are the regions in which they are majorly produced. Okay, so pulses कहाँ पर होते हैं, wheat कहाँ पर होता है, maize कहाँ पर होता है. So all these things, the regions in which they grow, you have to remember this. And of course we have so many crops: rice, wheat, millets, pulses, sugarcane, cotton, jute, and all the oil seeds, and then tea, coffee, rubber. इतना तो मेजर है, आपको याद रखना ही पड़ेगा. In this, so of course this is a bit difficult task, है ना. एक तो आपको एक टेबल दे दिया, I have given you in a PPT, so try to remember as much as possible. So what is the condition for rice में क्या temperature, क्या rainfall, क्या soil condition, and which are the states in which they grow. So if you feel this is as a easier method, you can go ahead with this, है ना. In this PPT I have given you in a tabular form, and I have also included some of the maps showing the regions in which the major crops are grown. Here you can see this is rice, this is wheat, okay, jowar, bajra, ragi, sugarcane, jute and cotton, and tea, coffee, rubber. Okay, so this PPT has all that information. But I know this is bit difficult to remember, so let's make it bit more easier. थोड़ा सा और easy करते हैं. So what all did we discuss after the green revolution? The third one, cropping seasons. Okay, इसके पहले वर्ल्ड एग्रीकल्चर टाइपोलॉजी भी हमने डिस्कस किया था. Now the fourth, major crops of India. So to make your job bit more simpler, let's make a small table. Okay, what I am going to do, I am going to list the different crops as per temperature, precipitation and then rainfall. Sorry, temperature, precipitation and soil condition. Because जो general studies में question आता है ना, they are not going to be exactly asking whether the rice is grown in 25 centimeters or 26 centimeters. इतना close तो नहीं पूछेंगे. So they will ask whether it is grown at 35 centimeters, sorry 35 degrees centigrade or 25 degrees centigrade. इतना difference तो पता होना चाहिए. So that means you have to roughly remember the range in which it is grown. Okay, whether it is a very high temperature of 25 to 35 degrees, which we usually consider, there are certain group of crops which are grown in a very high temperature of 25 to 30 degrees, or bit moderate temperature of 20 to 25 degrees, there are certain group of crops, or bit low temperature of 15 to 20 degrees, or any crops which is less than 15 degrees. ऐसे चार categories बना दो, now it will be easier for you to remember. Okay, the first thing I told you, table में पूरा details है, जो PPT में table है, that will be shared with you, you will get all the details. To make the job simpler, you can make a simple table like this and try to remember. अगर ये पहले याद रखो तो you can do that, and trust me, इतना याद हो गया तो you don't have to worry about the other one. इतना काफी है. Fine, just remember what are the crops which comes in this high temperature group, what are the crops which comes in moderate temperature, what are the crops which comes in low temperature and very low temperature. Most of the questions can be solved here. In the same way, we will also do it for very heavy precipitation, moderate precipitation, low precipitation, very low precipitation. First, let's do it for temperature. What are the crops which requires a very high temperature, बहुत high temperature चाहिए, and they are grown in hot regions? What are they? Okay, let me just. एक हो गया rice. Rice requires a very high temperature. That's why rice is grown in Punjab, Haryana में भी summers में होता है. Another one is jute. Jute also requires a high temperature. Okay, कहाँ पर? Majorly West Bengal. Okay, I'll again talk about the distribution. Don't worry. Okay, rice हो गया, jute हो गया. Coffee requires a very high temperature of 25 to 35 degrees. So is rubber. Okay, rubber also requires a very high temperature. And among all the oil seeds, only sunflower requires high temperature. Okay, sunflower requires high temperature. बाकी सारा oil seeds you can grow at low temperature. Okay, very high temperature कौन कौन सा? Rice, jute, coffee, not tea. Okay, only coffee, rubber and sunflower. Moderate temperature 20 to 25 degrees में कौन कौन सा? Sugar cane, the most important one, sugar cane. Again, another important one, cotton. And tea. Sugar cane, cotton, tea, all the other oil seeds. Okay, there is a very wide group of oil seeds. You don't have to worry about remembering each and every oil seeds. थोड़ा सा roughly याद रखो काफी है. Oil seeds and all the pulses. Fine. Sugar cane, cotton, tea, oil seeds, pulses. Between 15 to 20 degree, that is low temperatures, we have mustard. Okay, mustard होते, you can remember our Shah Rukh Khan singing in mustard fields. है ना, it requires low temperature. Very low temperature is wheat, less than 15 degrees. Is that clear? This is for temperature. Let's do the same for precipitation also. The first group is between 150 to 200 centimeters. That means a very heavy rainfall is required here. 150 to 200 centimeters. Second one, 100 to 150 centimeters. Third one, 100 to 75 centimeters, which is less than 75 centimeters. We have 4 groups here. Fine. So here, what are the crops which requires a very high precipitation? बहुत ज़्यादा पानी जो पीता है. First one is rice. You need a very good quantity of water for rice. तभी होगा. So is jute. Jute के लिए भी you need a very high quantity of water. That's why they are grown majorly in West Bengal deltas में. Along with that, for tea, coffee and rubber, again you need a very heavy precipitation. Okay, rice, jute, tea, coffee, rubber. Abhi now if you can link, you can come to conclusion about tea and coffee here. कहाँ पर होना चाहिए? Can you see, both tea and coffee requires a very heavy precipitation of 150-200 centimeters, whereas coffee requires a high temperature, tea can be grown even in the low temperatures. So that means, where do we have tea and coffee? In Western Ghats, where we have high temperature as well as higher precipitation, as well as the foothills of Himalayas in northeast. Okay, along the northeast Assam hills, the lower ranges, we have tea gardens. But the thing is, we don't have coffee in the northeast. Why? Coffee के लिए you need high temperature. इतना ज़्यादा तो नहीं होता है वहाँ पर. So that's why in Assam we have only tea, whereas in Western Ghats of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, Kerala, we have both tea and coffee. थोड़ा सा ऊपर गया, थोड़ा सा temperature कम हो गया, you will have tea over there. नीचे temperature ज़्यादा है, hot temperatures as well as higher precipitation, we have coffee here, right? So that is how you should be able to correlate. So then between 100 to 150 centimeters, we have sugar cane. Sugar cane requires high amount of water, but not as high as our rice. Between 100 to 75, we have wheat. Not too high, but moderate. So what are the crops which requires a very less precipitation? बहुत कम precipitation किस किस को चाहिए? Most importantly, cotton. कॉटन सुना है, they are grown majorly in dry lands. So is oil seeds. Oil seeds be there in dry lands only. So is pulses as well as millets. They don't require much of precipitation at all. तो यहां पर तो मिलेट तो हमने छोड़ दिया. मिलेट आई टोल्ड यू देयर आर 3 इंपॉर्टेंट मिलेट्स. मिलेट आई गेस ऑल ऑफ यू आर अवेयर अबाउट दिस. अभी थोड़ा सा ट्रेंड में है. मिलेट्स रागी, जोवार, बाजरा. देयर आर 3 इंपॉर्टेंट मिलेट्स. First one is bajra, second one is jowar, third one is ragi. Okay, together we call it as bajora. Bajra, jowar, ragi. The precipitation conditions and the temperature conditions in these 3 crops are inverse to each other. What do you mean by that? The temperature requirements increases in this direction, whereas precipitation requirement increases in this direction. The temperature varies from 20 degrees Celsius to 30 degree, okay, 30-35 तक होता है, whereas the precipitation varies from 50 centimeters to 100 centimeters here. In this, bajra is grown at a very high temperature, very low precipitation. कहां पर है? राजस्थान, right? Whereas ragi is grown at bit lower temperature and bit higher precipitation. कहां पर है? कर्नाटका, आंध्र प्रदेश, तमिलनाडु. Jowar is in between, not too high temperature, not too high precipitation. Okay, easy to remember. एंड इसका रीजन्स भी दिखा देता हूं. यू कैन रिमेंबर इट वेरी इजीली. Okay, can you see jowar, sorry, bajra? Bajra is very high temperature and low precipitation. Rajasthan, Haryana, Gujarat, parts of Maharashtra बहुत ज्यादा ड्राई रहता है. जोवर हो गया in between, not too high temperature, not too low precipitation. And ragi is towards the lower regions where there is bit थोड़ा सा, इतना ज्यादा हेवी टेम्परेचर राजस्थान जितना नहीं होता है, बट थोड़ा सा कम रहता है, बट बिट मोर प्रेसिपिटेशन. तो बेसिकली यू कैन मार्क दीज 3 टुगेदर. यहां हो गया बाजरा, दिस इज बाजरा. This is jowar. Maharashtra is very very famous for jowar. Any of you have had jowar roti? Very tasty, very nutritious. Maharashtra as well as northern Karnataka. And this is ragi. Ragi तो बहुत nutritious है. Lower Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, in this junction we have ragi. And ragi is very very good for diabetes. Diabetes patients के लिए बहुत सही है. Okay, they make ragi ball out of this. Ragi ball, I don't know how many of you have heard about this. And very tasty. Jowar is mainly roti. Bajra is also, I guess, roti बनाते हैं उसमें. Okay, 3 very easy to remember. So बाकी सारा temperature and precipitation condition please remember. It's very much required. इससे ज़्यादा simple तो I don't think you can make it. Yes, they call it as ragi mudde. Mudde means ball. So 2 हो गया. Let's make the third table also for soil. Okay, I think soil के लिए PPT में है. Let me just see. हाँ, PPT में तो है. Please remember these 4 soil types: alluvial soil, black soil, red soil, laterite soil. ये सारा आप बाद में पढ़ लेना. This one we have already covered soil characteristics and all. Just go through it once. Remember the crops. What are the crops which are majorly grown in alluvial soil? बहुत सही वाला कौन सा है? We have rice, wheat, sugarcane, the 3 major one including jute. They grow very well in this soil: rice, wheat, sugarcane and jute. Rice, wheat, sugarcane and jute. These are majorly grown. They require alluvial soil. मतलब of course sugarcane can be grown in cotton soil, black cotton soil also, but majorly यहाँ पर है. बहुत अच्छे से आता है. So other than these major ones, so you can see cotton, gram and oil seeds are also grown in alluvial soil. क्योंकि alluvial तो बहुत fertile है. You can grow in fact many things. Okay, उसके साथ में ये भी है. In the Ganga Brahmaputra plain में they also grow this. Cotton is grown in even in UP Bihar में in alluvial soil also. But the major characteristic alluvial soil सुनते ही कौन सा याद आना चाहिए? Rice, wheat, sugarcane and jute. Black soil कहाँ पर है? Black soil Maharashtra, जो the region which where we have the Deccan traps. Most important one is cotton. It is so good that it is also called as black. Okay, it is cotton. And then tobacco, sugar cane. I told you sugar cane grows well both in alluvial as well as black soil. Okay, and citrus fruits. Nagpur orange सुना है? Nagpur orange, that is citrus fruit, as well as oil seeds. Many of the oil seeds, they also come from the dry land of Maharashtra, northern Karnataka. That is black soil. तो laterite soil देख लेते हैं. बाकी सारा you can put it in red soil. Laterite soil, where do we find laterite soil? So that's mainly in the slopy mountains of Western Ghats, right? Wherever there is a very high temperature and high precipitation. So where do we, what are the important crops where laterite soil के अंदर ज़्यादा अच्छे से आता है? Okay, important one, let's see. Tea हो गया, coffee, rubber. Okay, let's mark the important one. Tea, coffee, rubber, cashew nut, tapioca, and along with this they can grow other things also, because if you come to Western Ghats you will see they grow rice. बहुत जगह में राइस भी होता है क्योंकि अच्छा सा बारिश भी होता है. So they cut the terrace, है ना, and they flatten it and then do the agriculture over there. Rice, sugar cane भी आता है वहाँ पर. बट द मेजर वंस जो यहां पर बहुत सही आता है इस कॉफी, टी, रबर, कैशनट, टबैका। बाकी सारा रेड सॉइल। रेड सॉइल का कंडीशन देखते ही पता चल जाएगा, दिस रीजन इज ड्राई रीजन बिट, इट्स बिट ऑफ ड्राई, जहां पर प्रेसिपिटेशन कम रहते हैं, टेम्परेचर भी इट्स बिट्स काइंड ऑफ एवरेज एंड हाई। तो देर वी कैन सी रागी, ग्राउंडनट, most importantly tobacco, ragi, groundnut, tobacco and vegetables. Is that clear? So along with the soils, please remember this much, आपका मेजर क्रॉपिंग कंडीशंस कवर हो गया यहां पर। Now let's see the cropping regions for these crops. Starting from rice. Where do we have major rice growing regions of India? So this is what is major rice growing regions of India. It is majorly concentrated in Ganga Brahmaputra delta. Okay, Ganga Brahmaputra delta and Ganga Brahmaputra plains. Okay, so if you remember the conditions, you can easily understand rice requires a high temperature as well as high precipitation, and it is a kharif crop. You can see these are the core regions where they are grown, and which soil? Alluvial soil. Entirely Ganga Brahmaputra plain and delta mein we have alluvial soil, along with the coastal regions, coastal Andhra Pradesh, coastal Tamil Nadu, Odisha. Okay, they are the entire Assam belt, major rice growing region. These were the core regions. In addition to that, we have surrounding region जैसे कि western UP, parts of Punjab, Haryana, which came through like after the green revolution, बहुत अच्छा खासा irrigation facilities आ गया. During the summers they started to grow here. Then you can see Telangana, Andhra Pradesh जहाँ पर अच्छा खासा पानी है. Western coastal plain, eastern coastal plains. Not in the dry regions. Can you see dry regions में mountains में बहुत कम है, where there is lesser precipitation. What about wheat? This is wheat. Why? Because wheat requires a low temperature. It can be grown in less than 15 degrees. तो वो तो नहीं होगा below मध्य प्रदेश. The core regions of wheat, Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, मध्य प्रदेश, Northern Rajasthan. Northern Rajasthan क्यों? ये तो desert था. How can they grow wheat here? Can somebody answer this? This region of Rajasthan, how are they able to grow wheat? And can you see parts of this lower valleys, है ना, where there is a good precipitation, and the secondary area surrounding this, the eastern UP, Bihar, and parts of Madhya Pradesh. That is wheat. So now if you can observe one thing between rice and wheat, yes, Ayush is right, that's because of water from Indira Gandhi canal. Okay, we have Indira Gandhi canal which derives water from the Sutlej बियास जो confluence होता है ना, हरिके से water आता है यहाँ पर, that irrigates the entire land of northern parts of Rajasthan. That is what Indira Gandhi Canal. So Kapil has doubt, why don't we mention fruits and vegetables in alluvial soil? Because fruits and vegetables can be grown in any of the soil. Majorly alluvial में भी आ जाता है, red में भी आता है. So short growing, you don't need much specific condition for that. So now, if you observe one thing, the parts of this region, Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, this part has both rice as well as wheat. Can you see? Rice bhi hai, wheat bhi hai. So they have made excellent utilization of the seasonal variation and they grow both the crops here, because in summers they are very hot here and in winters they are very cold here, and both wheat and rice requires alluvial soil, and rice के लिए you need a very high precipitation. यहाँ पर तो high precipitation नहीं होगा, but they have canal irrigation, a very good supply of water which can compensate the low precipitation. So that's why they grow rice during the summers, and just before the monsoon begins, June में sowing होगा, they will cut it down by the end of October. By the beginning of November they will sow wheat, they will harvest wheat. By March to June they will do any kind of zaid. So that is the combination of rice and wheat. Rice wheat combination, they are mainly in the Gangetic plain, Indo-Gangetic plain. What are the reasons why they are very successful? एक तो both rice and wheat are the staple food in this region. They are in very much demand. जहाँ पर demand है, we can create supply over there. Second thing is, both the conditions are available very easily. The conditions required for the wheat as well as rice is available very easily. The presence of alluvial soil is very much suitable for both rice and wheat, and there is a very good profit in rice and wheat because of MSP policy also, right? And seasons भी अच्छे से match हो गया. Because of all these reasons they are able to develop this rice wheat combination in the Indo-Gangetic plain to a great extent. But however, over the period of time this has resulted in many negatives, many side effects of this rice wheat combination. What are the negatives or what are the side effects of this rice wheat combination or the rice wheat cropping pattern? बताएं देखते. Groundwater decreases, soil salinization, decrease in soil fertility, then the most important issue जो current में है, loss of fertility, nutritional issues, water level, rice wheat surplus, over utilization of soil not sustainable. ठीक है, सब बता रहे, but nobody is telling me the most important issue. Very good. Reena Selvaraj. The burning of crop residue, the stubble burning is the outcome of this combination. Stubble burning, that is the main issue. बाकी सारा भी है. What are the issues? बताइए. both are water intensive, wheat भी चाहिए थोड़ा सा तो चाहिए, and rice is very very water intensive, तो it requires a very high amount of water which is usually naturally available नहीं है, but canal irrigation बना के underground borewells लगा के they are extracting too much of water, that is depleting the water table. And second one is the continues both heavy crops that extracts a very high amount of nutrients that reduces the soil fertility over the period of time, right? It decreases the soil quality, and for that you have to use more chemical fertilizers that leads to soil degradation, and both the crops are labor intensive, which might be good or bad. It can be both. Labor intensive हो तो employment आएगा, and it might also create labor shortage, right? And both are energy intensive. You need to spend a lot of energy in pumping the water, है ना, in spraying, जो उसका chemical spray होता है, fertilizer spray होता है, बहुत सारा energy चाहिए इसके लिए. And the major issue is stubble burning. What exactly is stubble burning? Stubble is basically the leftover. So what happened in Punjab, Haryana, they grow rice in summers, wheat in winters. During the Green Revolution and after the Green Revolution, a bit of mechanization has been introduced in this process. Before all this mechanization came, they used to cut the rice manually. जो rice plant होता है ना, they will cut it manually. When they were cutting it manually, they will cut at the bottom of the stem. That resulted in very less residue, the crop residue. But because of the use of machines, they will not be able to cut totally at the bottom. पूरा नीचे कटना ही होगा. That leaves a bit more of stubble. Stubble is that leftover portion of the stem. So that is usually leftover. So उसको कैसे निकालना? You can remove it manually. Okay, there is a advantage of all that, जो भी stubble बचेगा. If at all you are having a good cattle which feeds on this rice stubble, you can cut it and use it. But over the period of time, people have stopped keeping much of cattle. Okay, the cattle are usually kept in dryland areas only now. So उसका necessity भी कम हो गया. दूसरा चीज है, the gap between rice and wheat has reduced. The reason is that there is a law in Punjab which says that you cannot start the early sowing of rice. If you do early sowing of rice, you will use excessive water and that causes higher salinization. है ना, peak summers में when you flood the entire field with water, it leaves the salts behind, causing higher salinization. इसलिए अब वहां पर rule बना दिया, you cannot do the early sowing of rice. So you will do it maybe in the June ऐसे कुछ है, जब monsoon begin होगा तब करना चाहिए. But once you do the late sowing of rice, you will have late harvest of rice by October. But you will have lesser time for wheat. Wheat ऐसे एक crop है, if you do late sowing, उसका productivity कम हो जाता है. In order to achieve a higher productivity of wheat, you should sow earlier. तो पंजाब हरियाणा farmers के लिए कुछ बचा ही नहीं है. They are not allowed to sow earlier rice and they cannot sow the wheat later. If at all they are harvesting the rice in October first week or second week, and they have to do the sowing of wheat by November first week. Very less gap is there, and that gap they cannot use it for removing the stubble. They just burn it off. That is the most common practice. They just burn it off. That creates a huge pollution issue in the surrounding regions of NCR. So that is about rice wheat combination. तो बाजरा जोवर रागी तो मैंने बता दिया, the regions also we have covered it, है ना. बाजरा dry regions, this is bajra, this is jowar, this is ragi. Let's see sugarcane. Tushar is asking, does growing 3 crops in a year decrease the soil fertility? Unless it is now naturally allowed and natural conditions hai, in that case it might not be. If at all you have a regular replenishing of this alluvial soil जहां पर river bed, river deltas होते हैं, जहां पर regularly it gets replenished, तो वहां पर तो ठीक है. But in Punjab, Haryana तो it degrades the soil quality. ये तो है. Sugarcane. You can see the first core area where sugarcane is grown is 4 states. What are the 4 states? UP, Western Bihar, Haryana, Punjab. क्योंकि sugarcane grows very well in alluvial soil. And what are the conditions? Sugarcane requires a moderate temperature and bit higher precipitation. Both are available here. That's why they were able to grow to a very great extent. This was the initial belt, but gradually sugarcane shifted to the southern belt. Majorly 4 states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. Top 4 से bottom 4, they are shifted here. There are specific reasons for this. Why sugarcane shifted to southern parts? Because they have the advantage of marine environment. Okay, the proximity to the marine region was found to be very good for the sugarcane cultivation. Okay, they found that the sucrose content in the sugarcane is very higher if at all you are growing near to the marine environment. And they also found that the black cotton soil of this part is also very much suitable for sugarcane cultivation. That's why they shifted to the southern parts. Now more than 50% of sugarcane in India comes from southern parts. Jute and cotton. Jute तो बहुत simple है. For jute it require a very high temperature, very high precipitation, that is, and also alluvial soil, most important one, that is available only here. Okay, only here. Alluvial soil के साथ very high temperature as well as very high precipitation is only here. You come to the northern parts, temperature decreases, winter में तो बहुत कम हो जाता है. Other parts very low precipitation और alluvial soil कम है. So that's why West Bengal and Assam are the topmost producer and are the only major producers of jute. % 90% of jute comes from only this area. What about cotton? Cotton you can easily understand. Cotton, black cotton soil. Wherever we have the black soil, we have cotton. Along with that, some parts of alluvial soil, because cotton does not require much great precipitation. Can you see less than 75 temperatures, 75 degrees Celsius, sorry 75 degrees centimeter, 75 centimeters are fine, and in terms of temperature 20 to 25 degrees Celsius would be fine. This is cotton. Oil seeds, see this is the list of oil seeds, थोड़ा सा tricky है, just try to go through it. Okay, you don't have to remember one common thing which you can observe, it does not require much of high precipitation, है ना, it does not require much of high precipitation and does not require much of high temperature also except sunflower. Can you see sunflower का हमने मार्क किया था, उसको छोड़ के बाकी सारा moderate ही है. And these are the different oil seeds. We have groundnut oil, mustard oil, soybean, sunflower, sesame, cotton seeds, है ना, and linseed, castor oil, ये सारा है. And कहाँ पर? Most of the dry region. Where do you have the dry region? Let me just mark it here. It's majorly this belt. This is what is oil seed belt. Okay, core area I am marking, we can roughly mark it. And this is T. What is temperature? Bit lower temperature, not too high, but moderate high precipitation, which is available both in the Western Ghats as well as in northeast. So that's why tea is grown in both the regions. However, Coffee, which requires a very high temperature as well as high precipitation, which you find only in the Western Ghats, not in the northeast. And rubber requires high temperature as well as high precipitation, that's available only in the lower parts of Western Ghats, Nilgiris ke niche. Kerala is the major producer of rubber. Any doubts here? Tushar has a doubt. Does the stubble burning lead to increase in fertility? That is a misconception. They think that stubble burning will add more nutrients to the soil. No, stubble burning in fact increases the soil temperature. Top soil का layer होता है ना, उसका temperature बढ़ा देता है, and that is bad for the soil. That decreases the fertility of soil. It is bad in a long term. It might lead to short term में थोड़ा सा minor increase हो सकता है, but in the long term it is very bad. And this one shows the major agricultural regions, okay, overall region in terms of combination you can roughly understand. So this region you can see we have rice, jute and tea region. कौन कौन सा है? The northeast, Assam, West Bengal and the coastal eastern coastal plain and parts of Kerala also, where we have majorly rice, jute and tea. यहाँ पर jute है, यहाँ पर rice है and tea दोनों जगह में है. Wheat and sugar cane, you can see this is wheat and sugar cane. है ना, this is cotton belt because of black soil. Maize and coarse यहाँ पर है, millets here and rest of it fruits जो hilly regions में है. So let me just briefly discuss the changes in the cropping pattern over the period of time. Changes in cropping pattern. We can observe the changes in cropping pattern in 4 different stages, the time period. One is before 1900. The second one between 1900 to 1947. Third one 1947 to 2000. After 2000. Okay, 4 different stages. How the cropping pattern has changed. So let's see the first one, before 1900. Okay, that is before the beginning of this century. So Meenakshi is asking what are the alternatives for stubble burning. So we have certain machineries developed in the recent times. I guess stubble burning issues would be dealt in detail in your environment. इसलिए मैंने ज़्यादा इसके बारे में बात नहीं किया. Okay, so that is a huge environmental issue, air pollution का. So let me just tell you what are the alternatives for stubble burning. Basically there are certain machines which are recently government has developed and along with the cooperatives. So one such machine is Happy Seeder. You might have heard about this Happy Seeder. So Happy Seeder क्या करते हैं? So basically it will be able to sow the wheat without removing the stubbles of rice. ओके, बिकॉज नॉर्मली क्या होता है, यू हैव टू रिमूव द राइस स्टबल पूरा क्लीन करके फिर वीट को सी करना है ना. दिस इज केपेबल ऑफ सोइंग द वीट without removing the rice manually or without burning it off. So that is happy seeder, but the machine is a bit costly to use, so that's why government is promoting through cooperatives. Okay, as a cooperative society they can buy it and they can start to use it. That is one thing. Fine. Second thing is manually remove karo and provide incentive to this stubble, because we can use this stubble in various other लोकेशंस, मतलब अदर यूजर्स है ना, जैसे कि उससे वो यू कैन मेक ए बायोफ्यूल है ना, यू कैन कंप्रेस एंड मेक ए बायोफ्यूल, यू कैन प्रोड्यूस एनर्जी आउट ऑफ इट. ऐसे बहुत सारे यूजर्स है, उसके लिए इंसेंटिवाइज करो सो दैट पीपल गेट बेनिफिट आउट ऑफ दिस. अभी कुछ फायदा नहीं है, व्हाई विल दे इन्वेस्ट मनी इन कटिंग दिस डाउन, राइट? सो दोज आर द सम ऑफ द थिंग्स. सो आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट द चेंजेस इन द क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न. What was the cropping pattern before 1900? This is the period where the agriculture was not very well developed, and at that point of time there was not much demand for commercial crops. Industries develop हो रहा था, but it was just the beginning. Particularly agro processing industries, जो agriculture based industries है ना, पूरा खराब हो गया था. आफ्टर ब्रिटिश केम इनटू इंडिया दे स्टार्टेड टू रूल, है ना, तो ज्यादा कुछ नहीं था. सो बेसिकली एग्रीकल्चर एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वाज मेजरली कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड टुवर्ड्स द फूड क्रॉप्स, which was nearly 85% of the total production. It was food crops only. So baki nearly 15% was mainly cotton and oilseed, because nearly 150 years of the British rule, the company rule and British rule, they had totally ruined the agro based industries which was existing earlier. So by 1900 ऐसे situation था, majorly they were dependent for food, and वो भी 85% food ही था, very less cotton and oilseeds were there. But between 1900 to 1947 agro based industries picked up because of the new methods of agriculture. थोड़ा सा commercial agriculture भी start हो गया था. So because of which there is a change in the cropping pattern, and the ratio between the food crops and the commercial crops changed to 55:45. That means more emphasis was given to growing commercial crops. What are the commercial crops? Cotton, sugarcane, spices, coffee, tea. ये सारा बहुत अच्छे से डेवलप कर दिया था इन द 1900 बिफोर द इंडिपेंडेंस. ओके, अनदर रीजन फूड क्रॉप्स, बिकॉज इफ एट ऑल यू नो अबाउट दिस पीरियड पॉपुलेशन इज नॉट दैट हाई. पॉपुलेशन थोड़ा सा कम हुआ था because of the industrial advancements. There was a need for raw material from the agriculture. They started to, the demand started to increase over there. Between 1947 to 2000 the situation again changed. One is because of population explosion, we were in more need of food grains. Food grains का ज़्यादा demand हो गया, and also due to the green revolution we were able to increase the production of food grains, and the food grains production again started to increase. बहुत ज़्यादा increase हुआ था, and the commercial crops started to decrease. यहाँ पर ज़्यादा investment भी नहीं हुआ, यहाँ पर ज़्यादा advancements भी नहीं हुआ because of green revolution. We can say totally because of green revolution. We became self-sufficient in food grain, but for commercial crops we did not achieve much of advancements here. Post 2000, that too after liberalization, where the government's importance, government's engagement in agriculture started to decrease, again the commercial crops have started to increase. Particularly which type of commercial crops which are more export oriented, like fruits and vegetables, fruits and flowers, floriculture, horticulture. कौन सा? Our northeastern states, Himalayan states, they are considered to be very very good for both horticulture and floriculture, and now they are more towards the exports. जो ज़्यादा demand है ना, process करो, export करो. They are found that there is a huge potential here. And now in the recent times the concentration has also been increased towards pulses and oil seeds. वहाँ पे भी थोड़ा बहुत MSP वगैरह introduce किया, that is support mechanism has been introduced. Over the period of time we have understood that we need to develop the dryland agriculture. Fine. So now the focus has been again shifting from food grains to non-food grains. This is the overall changes which have happened in the cropping pattern. In addition to this, there are two more things. First thing, pulses. There have been few questions on pulses, but if you see, the questions are not going to be very detailed. जो general conditions हमने discuss किया वो काफी है. What exactly you have to remember? You have to remember the different names of pulses. Okay, try to remember different names of different pulses. Okay, we have urad dal, tur dal. Okay, I guess many of you don't know that tur dal and arhar dal both are same. And the question comes in this manner. Okay, if you know the common name, most commonly used, uska matlab kya hai, you will be easily able to identify the answer here. Try to understand and at least try to remember, if not in a English language, at least the local, whatever in mother tongue, whatever they say for this, all the pulses, कौन सा जो भी दाल को जो क्या बोलते हैं उसको याद रखना थोड़ा सा, उससे काम हो जाता है. Most of the questions related to pulses can be answered over there. Okay, whatever has been asked till now. And the second thing is, please refer economic survey. I guess I'm not sure many of you know about this. Economic survey का session चल रहा है हमारा open session. So you can read a bit of that and try to see the production levels of various crops. Okay, in last 1 year and in last 2-3 years में कैसे increase हुआ है, decrease हुआ है. The thing is, you don't have to remember the exact numbers here, but rough approximation whether there is an increase or decrease, which one is more, which one is less, ये याद होना चाहिए. And this one you have to do it from economic survey as well as the report of agricultural ministry. Agriculture ministry report पे जाओ, annual report में, there they would have given all the details related to the production levels of various crops. This one you have to update by yourself. Fine. So there the question can come. Last 2 years में there have been question asking about the production level. One question was there. This is bit tough, थोड़ा सा tough आता है, but थोड़ा सा मेहनत किया तो you can answer this. But if you ask me, if at all you don't know at all, should you answer this question? I would say no. You don't have any idea at all whether which crop is, rice is more, wheat is less, राइस का प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज हो गया, शुगर केन डिक्रीज हो गया, ये सारा अगर पता नहीं है तो प्लीज डोंट अटेम्प्ट. बहुत ट्रिकी है, बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग है. But please try to read once at least from economic survey as well as from agricultural ministry's report, because few of you are there who are from 2022 batch also. You will have to refer the next year's survey. So Devyansh is asking from this portion what are the questions for mains. है ना, मेंस के लिए यहाँ पर क्वेश्चंस कैन कम अबाउट द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. ये जो इश्यूज इन द कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन ना, वो भी आ सकता है. व्हाट आर द वेरियस इश्यूज एंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ डिफरेंट क्रॉप्स, राइस, व्हीट, वो सारा डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड द कंडीशंस रिक्वायर्ड, इसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं. एंड द चेंजेस इन द क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न, ये भी पूछ सकते हैं. दीज आर द मेजर वंस. बट प्राइसिंग के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आएगा, एग्रीकल्चर प्राइसिंग, एग्रीकल्चर मार्केट, द रिफॉर्म्स ऑल ओवर दैट, तो उसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन आएगा. सो बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर दैट. I told you that will be covered in your economics. So these are few of the questions which have been asked in the previous years. See this question. Consider the following crops of India: cowpea, green gram, pigeon pea. Which of the above are used as pulse fodder, green manure? है ना, बहुत simple question है. You just have to know the meaning of this. All of these are the different pulses which are used on daily basis. Just you should have known the common name. Cowpea क्या होता है, green gram क्या होता है. Green gram तो वो मूंग होता है ना. Pigeon pea. These are just the common names. Try to remember that. All of them are actually pulse fodder, green manure. If you know, the pulses are used in crop rotation. What is crop rotation? Between two major crops, they sow a crop which is good for the soil nutrient. Most of the pulses are such kind of crops. That is what we call it as green manure. All of them are right here. You just have to know that these are pulses बस, ठीक है. ये तो बहुत सिंपल है. Which of these are kharif crops? We have cotton, rice, groundnut तो not sure है, रखो. Wheat तो नहीं, wheat हटा दो. Okay, 2 तो दोनों में है. It should be the answer is C, 1, 2 and 3. Right? Pretty simple. Which of the above are predominantly rain-fed crops? Rain-fed का मतलब क्या है? There is not much of irrigation, ज़्यादा पानी नहीं है, बस they are depend on the rain, which is dryland agriculture. All of them are rain-fed only. Dryland agriculture, बहुत simple है. Okay, so जो भी pulses हो गया, oil seeds हो गया, we saw that they require less of precipitation. इसका आंसर बताइए देखते हैं. The answer is Gujarat. Most of you are right. So why not Andhra Pradesh? Andhra Pradesh का northern part is arid and semi-arid, तो ये तो नहीं होगा. कर्नाटका का थोड़ा सा है, because northern part is bit arid and semi-arid because of the rain shadow effect. Its central part produces cotton. ये तो गलत है क्योंकि northern part में cotton है, not in the central part. Okay, northern part में there is black soil, that is where cotton is grown. तो तमिलनाडु भी cotton में है, but it is not totally arid and semi-arid. And they are not predominantly cash crops, they are food crops. तमिलनाडु में rice is the major one, we know that. Okay, cotton नहीं है. Sorry, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu both are not there. It's Gujarat. Answer is B. So among the following states, which one has the most suitable climatic condition for the cultivation of large variety of orchids with minimum cost of production and can develop export oriented industry? ये तो हमारा अरुणाचल प्रदेश है. So that is majorly suitable for the horticulture as well as floriculture. तो इसके बारे में तो मैंने बताया था. It's not that difficult to predict. तो फॉरेस्ट का देख लिया तो याद हो जाएगा आपका. फॉरेस्ट इज 29%, 33%, इतना तो ज़्यादा नहीं है. तो आइदर यू कैन मार्क 17% और 23%. सो 17% में यू कैन सी नेट सोन एरिया इज 58%, बहुत ज़्यादा है. तो आंसर शुड बी डी हियर. सो ट्राई टू आंसर दिस. इसका आंसर बताइए. should be C, right? Wheat तो नहीं होगा यार. लोअर गंगा प्लेन, टेम्परेचर्स आर हाई. वेस्ट बंगाल कौन सा है? राइस एंड जूट. बहुत सिंपल है. ये थोड़ा सा एलिमिनेट करके आंसर निकाल सकते हैं. हॉट एंड ह्यूमिड क्लाइमेट, हॉट एंड ह्यूमिड क्लाइमेट किसको हटा देगा? मस्टर्ड को हटा देगा. यूनिट कोल्ड टेम्परेचर्स. एनुअल रेनफॉल ऑफ 200 सेंटीमीटर्स, 200 सेंटीमीटर. कॉटन के लिए इतना ज्यादा नहीं चाहिए. हिल स्लोप्स अप टू एन अल्टीट्यूड ऑफ 1100 मीटर, एनुअल रेंज ऑफ टेम्परेचर इज 15 to 30 degrees. 200 centimeter also eliminates tobacco. You are left with only pepper. Easy. इसका आंसर बताओ. If you remember exactly what we have discussed, जो टेबल्स हमने बनाया था पूरा याद है तो you can solve all of these questions. None of it is going to be difficult for you. गुड. ठीक है, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत हमने जो कर लिया है वो सक्सेसफुल है. आंसर इज ये कॉटन. कैसे? द क्रॉप इज सबट्रॉपिकल इन नेचर. ठीक है. ए हार्ड फ्रॉस्ट इंजूरियस टू इट. इट रिक्वायर्स एटलीस्ट 210 फ्रॉस्ट फ्री डेज. इफ एट ऑल थोड़ा सा डिटेल में पढ़ा तो ये देखते ही पता चल जाएगा. कॉटन इज ए क्रॉप विच रिक्वायर्स 210 फ्रॉस्ट फ्री डेज. उसको छोड़ो, हमने डिस्कस नहीं किया. लेट्स सी द अदर ऑप्शंस. इट रिक्वायर्स द रेनफॉल बिटवीन 100 to 50 to 100 सेंटीमीटर्स. This eliminates jute. This eliminates tea also, which requires a very high precipitation. शुगर केन के लिए कौन सा था? 100 to 150. वो भी हटा देगा. Any other thing? A light, well-drained soil capable of retaining moisture is ideally suited for the cultivation of the crops. शुगर केन भी हटा दो. It requires bit higher precipitation. तो cotton should be the answer. Cotton का याद रखो. The most important information. It requires at least 210 frost free days. मतलब the soil should not be covered with frost, तभी cotton आएगा. That is the most important characteristic of that crop. So this is one bit tricky question, इसलिए मैंने बोला you should please try to remember the names of this. black gram, black gram कौन सा है, green gram कौन सा है, and this is related to the trend. Just if you know very basic idea about this, you can easily answer this. Okay, black gram is basically urad dal. Urad dal को बोलते हैं black gram. It can be cultivated as both kharif and rabi crop. तो ये थोड़ा सा tricky है. In the last 3 decades, while the production of kharif pulses has increased, the production of rabi pulses has decreased. Green gram alone accounts for nearly half the production. ये तो गलत है. Answer should be 1 only actually. Okay, so this is bit related to the trends. This is what I told you. Please refer to the survey. वहाँ पर clearly दिया है. You can easily answer this. This is also one thing related to the survey. जो जैसे मैंने बताया था, area under rice cultivation is the highest. Area under cultivation of jowar is more than that of oil seeds. Area under cotton cultivation is more than that of sugar cane. तो क्योंकि ये लास्ट ईयर बिफोर लास्ट ईयर के ना, सो देयर इज नो पॉइंट इन गिविंग यू द एक्चुअल ट्रेंड्स. इसका अभी डिस्कस नहीं करना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि ये यूजलेस है. प्लीज रेफर द लेटेस्ट ट्रेंड, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी यूजफुल. आई जस्ट वांट टू गिव यू द एग्जांपल कैसे क्वेश्चंस आएगा. फाइन. सो दैट कवर्स आवर एग्रीकल्चर. सो वी आर लेफ्ट विथ 3 more topics actually. Roughly 4 more topics. One is minerals, the distribution of minerals, industries, and then transportation, and then human geography. Human geography should not take much of time, so is transportation, but minerals and industries will take some time. Okay, let me see if we can extend the class from last two, आज तो 44 था, 45, 46 would be the last class. So if at all possible, I'll ask for 3.5 hour class for both these classes so that हम आराम से discuss कर सकते हैं. Fine. So any doubts? Yeah, don't worry, disasters are different class. Okay, disasters, natural disaster. Usually last year तो मैंने ही लिया था. I'm not sure of this year, so they are not scheduled yet. Okay, it will be scheduled separately. 3 to 4 classes will be conducted for natural disasters. Disaster management पूरा separate topic है. So Tushar is saying no sir for what? I'm not getting it. Is it for extension of class? So are you guys okay if we extend the class by like half an hour or so? In the last two classes? Mapping class भी separate होगा यार. Okay, ठीक है. So mapping classes will be separate. I have promised you that we'll be taking a more updated session. So that will be done. Don't worry about that. Disaster management is also separate. So I guess regarding the extension, all of you are fine with this. Okay, good. So, ठीक है then. Okay, fine. Fine. Please revise once. एग्रीकल्चर का ना एक हैंड आउट भी मिलेगा, जो भी हमने क्लास में डिस्कस किया है. आई विल गेट इट अपलोडेड एज अ हैंड आउट, सेपरेट हैंड आउट फॉर यू, सो यू कैन मेक यूज ऑफ दैट. एंड इफ यू आस्क मी, जो भी हमने क्लास में डिस्कस किया है वो काफ़ी है इफ यू सप्लीमेंटेड विथ आवर इकोनॉमिक सर्वे डेटा. फाइन. सो सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. थैंक यू.